I would like to say that if you are not happy that we record this session, then I'm sorry to say, but this is the time to leave. And after the webinar, we will make the slides public, and also the recording will be published on our Edge Cloud channels. So not wasting too much time here, I have, as you see, the title of the event is Cloud Computing Skill Development in Europe, and how we came up to this webinar. We are running this series of webinar since a few months already in this year, and it is one of the topics of the Hub for Cloud project, which is a coordination and support action project in the cloud computing area, funded by the European Commission. And so cloud computing skill development in Europe is a core topic of our project, and we are researching into the skills gap, cloud computing skills gap, and the training opportunities that are available, initiatives available. And for this, we already organized a webinar back in March, and then also we had a panel session during our cloud summit in the month of May, where we invited experts from IDC, Blue Specs, who are running, and also a startup. So IDC and Blue Specs are running, Blue Specs is running initiatives in the cloud skills trainings, and IDC, of course, as you know, they are data collecting body. And so we had a discussion over this topic, that what are the challenges in this industry. So we know the major obstacle to overcome is the capability for the organizations and citizens to quickly take up the digital skills and adapt and understand these technologies. So through this webinar, we will discuss and learn from the different players here in the market about the European cloud computing skills gap and how to bridge them. For this, we have here our speakers, Marta Portales, who is the EU project coordinator from Mobile World Capital. Hi, Marta. And then there is Lisa Aucklenberg. She will be presenting. She's MGORA Workspace Manager from Cloud SME. And then finally, we have Paula Cervera she's from the Mobile World Capital and EU Project Manager. So these will be short presentations, data sharing from their initiatives, and then we will have individually a round of questions and answers. Here also during the webinar, we also have one of my colleagues, Enrique Reizaga, and I saw him joining. And Enrique, I welcome you that, during this webinar, when you have, because he's collaborating with me and leading the initiative to get to do the research and also get the data. So I invite him also to interrupt us if there are questions, and he will be moderating also meanwhile. Hi, Enrique, nice to see you.
Hello, Anrita.
So,
good morning, everyone.
These are our partners from the consortium from Hub for Cloud, Martel, Atlas, Technalia, and Technalia Ventures. And I won't go any further, and I will stop sharing my screen. And I request now Marta to share her screen. I request everybody else to keep their mics muted, and please use the chat in case of any questions. Thank you so much.
Perfect. So thank you everyone for coming today. So I'm going to do a brief introduction on, I hope you see the screen well.
Yes.
It's full screen, perfect.
Yes.
So I will do a short introduction on two case studies, so to say. So about cloud technologies and gaps that we can see. So I'm going to start talking about a project.
Sorry, one moment. You are not sharing the full screen, but the presentation, the presentator, no.
Okay, one moment. Sorry, this didn't happen. Now. Okay,
not
so
yet. Yes, now in full screen.
Perfect.
Now in full screen. Thank you.
So I will start from the beginning then. So I'm going to explain two initiatives that work with digital skills and cloud technologies, one focused on the manufacturing sector and the other one on the IT sector. As Amrita said, I'm Marta from Mobile World Capital, and we have an initiative in Mobile World Capital that it's called Barcelona Digital Talent. That what it does is actually it tries to study the digital gap between what the city needs, so the IT technology companies that are based in Barcelona need, and what the citizens based in Barcelona actually have of skills. So they study this gap every month regarding what jobs are being requested from these IT companies, and actually if they are filled or not, and how many applicants to fill in for these different workplaces. So they've partnered up with different platforms of job recruitment platforms, and we have some data that is interesting also regarding cloud, the cloud skills gap. So in Europe, as you know, the ICT specialist jobs have grown 40%, while other type of sectors have a very, very low growth. Being UK and Germany, they group 36% of the digital talent professionals. Actually, we will hear Lisa explain a little bit about their initiative that it's based in Germany. So if we see Europe has gained 3 million ICT employees, but where does the cloud technology play a role? So this is something that we have also explored, mainly in the city of Barcelona, as I was telling you through this Barcelona Digital Talent Program. So if we see, these are the top trends of skills in the IT sector, and the cloud one in 2022 gained 10.73 persons per job description that was submitted, and in 2021 per each job offer only 7.19 persons applied. So this means that the rate, the cloud technologies is being on a trend, and that they are hard to find. So not every job offer doesn't have a lot of applicants. If we check also the most popular positions of established technologies, so the first one would be the cloud architect, then the software engineer, and then the DevOps engineer. And this is among the 10 most famous skills regarding IT technologies, being cloud more or less in the middle of this ranking also. And if we check the job offers in Barcelona that offer remote job, 15% of them are related to the cloud technology. And this was also quite interesting because they study also the gender gap. So in Barcelona, the percentage of women in the sector by city and well-established technology is 18%, while, for example, other skills such as UX UI, which is more related to the communication field, has 51%. So this is also a data that is quite interesting. And we compare it with other cities, not only in Spain like Madrid, but also, for example, London, Amsterdam, or Paris. So this is a very thorough study that it's made in our company every year, so you can even compare data from past years, and it's basically the method is of scrapping data from different places. And how does the city actually close this digital gap? So after making this assessment of what's happening in Barcelona, different institutions together with the City Hall and Mobile World Capital and other institutions, they try to close the gap by offering different scholarships, but also programs or recommendations to the City Hall to make some programs of reskilling of some of the citizens in Barcelona. So after learning a little bit about the context, I wanted to explain you about the initiative I4MS. So now we are going to the manufacturing sector. So how are cloud technologies developed and seen in the manufacturing sector? So as you know, the Digital Europe program focuses on 4 verticals. So we have the test before invest in order to test technologies within the digital innovation hubs, the support to find investments, the innovation of ecosystems and networking, and the skills and training. So the newly elected European digital innovation hubs that need to drive skills and training are quite important, and the development of skills is one of these big policies that is important for the European Commission. And I4MS addresses more or less these 4 verticals in the manufacturing sector through 8 initiatives. So we have 8 European projects. Together with us, we have representatives of Better Factory, Paula, my colleague, and also Lisa, that also is a representative of DigitBrain. So these 4 technologies are represented in the 8 projects. So we have digital twins, such as DigitBrain project, cognitive autonomous systems and robot interaction, such as Better Factory, and then also AI and laser-based additive manufacturing are some of these technologies. In the past, one of the main technologies that I4MS addressed in phase 3 was cloud technologies. So you can see in our website how the initiative did some pilot projects in cloud technologies, and also some of the European projects giving funding to SMEs were focused on cloud. And that's why after gathering what the DIHs are doing and also some of these European projects, we have created a catalogue of trainings. We have more than 200 catalogue of trainings focused mainly on advanced manufacturing on the sector, and more than 20 countries involved. So how can you be involved? Either if you're interested in one topic, you can watch some of these trainings, or even if you are a training provider, you can get in touch with us and submit your training through the web. And this is interesting because well, we presented this initiative and we saw that the 4th technology that is addressed in this catalog of trainings is cloud technologies. So we have 39 trainings only focused on this topic. And as some of the training providers, the most famous countries that have applied to the program are mainly in Portugal, following Spain and France. The training catalog at the end has a big part of intermediate level trainings, but also some foundational ones that can be more addressed to the general public or the general manufacturing sector. And the interesting part is that mainly address the automotive sector, followed by computer software, research and development, energy sectors. So this is a little bit a brief introduction. And I wanted to finalize inviting you all to an event that we will have in Budapest on the 19th of October. And we have a call for posters open. So if you are working on advanced manufacturing technologies and skills, we would like to have you. And I think it would be a chance to meet each other and do also some network. So with no further delay, I will give the floor to Lisa. She will present Cloud SME and also the DigitBrain project that falls under I4MS. So thank you for hearing me.
Thank you, Marta. Lisa.
Hello, everyone. Marta,
Hi,
could you please stop sharing so I can share?
Perfect. Yeah, done.
Thank you very much. So just give me a second to share my screen. So now you should see my screen.
Yes.
Great, okay. So also welcome from my side. My name is Lisa Ocklenburg. I'm from Cloud SME. And as mentioned, I'm responsible for Mgora Workspace. And Mgora Workspace is a digital marketplace which is operated by Cloud SME, and Cloud SME and I4MS have a quite long history together, since Cloud SME was one of the first projects in the FP7 program of the European Commission. And out of the project consortium, we wanted to take up the technology and distribute it in Europe, and that's why we launched Mgora. We launched Cloud SME. And now we are supporting companies and end users with cloud computing skills and the uptake of those technologies. So, but today I would want to take you with me on a short journey of software providers. So why am I doing this? So the goal here is to show you what challenges are coming along on the way if a provider wants to provide software in Europe to different customers. And we will have a look on different areas. But first of all, what are we talking about? So we're talking about software as a service. It's only one of 3 cloud computing models. So the other ones are in platform as a service and infrastructure as a service. All those models are working together, but going deeper there would be too complex right now. So before we dive deeper into the process of our provider, let's have a look at the components which an SAS, the software as a service, is consisting of. So on the one hand, we have the application, which should be distributed. And then coming along, we also have data, for example, some functional data, production data, but also user data and other data that needs to be managed. Those data sets are stored in databases. And the databases are provided in the server, and the networking is also included. So the networking is a combination of different technical independent electronic systems, which enables in the end that individual systems can communicate with each other. The best example for this is the World Wide Web. And next to this, to the 5 components, we also have the cloud the computing resources, which will be then needed to run the application. And cloud and computing resources are always very limited in computer system. This is most of the time the bottleneck for running an application. So now we have to ask ourselves as a provider, okay, we have a software and we want to publish it in the cloud, and what are the requirements coming along with the software, and how a user will work with the software. So the provider needs to answer the question, what methods of running software as a service already exist? So today I brought with me four methods. Let's have a look at those. So for the first one is the job-based execution of application. It refers to batch processing. So means there is not a lot of user interaction. The user is only providing a set of data, which will be then automatically computed in computer systems, and only the output will be provided in the end. So it's only an input-output approach. The second one is the instance-based or virtual machines, which allows to run software and access graphical user interface. So I think everybody of us knows what it is. So it's the most common way for an average person of using a computer. The next one, how an app could be run, is the workflow-oriented method. It means it's not only one software, but a bunch of software which will be combined. And then an engineer is enabled to use in one app different tools, for example, computer-aided engineering, computer-aided design, and computational fluid dynamics. And by this, we can support the engineer to simulate strength, elasticity of metal parts, and thereby optimize design and materials used, and overall improve the quality of their products, but only by using one tool. So it's putting a lot of applications into one single user experience. And then we also have auto-scaling clusters, which is automatically adjusting the number of nodes in a given node pool to the requirements of your workload. So you as a provider have no longer the need to worry about performance. Those are the 4 methods today we were looking at. So summing up, we introduced the 4 different models of running software as a service, but now that already sounds quite complex, and especially if you ever heard that cloud computing, what cloud computing is supposed to be. So cloud computing is supposed to be cost efficient. It's supposed to be easy to use, and the complexity of it needs to be reduced to a minimum, so every user can focus on what they can do best. And also software as a service needs to be publicly available but protected, means any IP or URL in the web is available and you can access it, but this doesn't mean that you have access to the function in the back of the application. In order to gain access, you need, for example, a user account, a password, and a proper right of sets, which is referring to user management, which needs to be done. And now the question for the provider is, okay, how can we now offer high performance software as a service? So there are 2 directions to go for. Especially it's the make or buy decision. For the one hand, a software provider can have its own servers and resources and provide its own software as a service, but have to take care of all the things coming along, like hardware requirements, security requirements, and also the management and maintenance of those infrastructures. Most of the companies are going in another direction and are contracting a cloud provider to host the application. But this is always related to some disadvantages, like the flexibility, because most cloud provider offerings are focused on walled gardens, which means if you join their ecosystem, it's pretty hard to get out of this again. But as mentioned, there are a lot of benefits on both sides of the story, and both require a lot of efforts and partly tasks coming along that cannot be easily outsourced. In each case, so hosting an application on your own as a software or service, or contracting a cloud provider, there are a lot of efforts to be conducted. In each case, you require know-how, so you need to have it in-house or external. In addition, you have to, and if you pick an external provider, it's very likely that you will never leave it again, or if you leave it again, it will be a high effort to bring your apps to another cloud provider. So yes, software as a service is quite a complex thing, but are there any ways to hide complexity of software and services? We have now talked about the methods, benefits, disadvantages, but further, as mentioned before, we need to verify and manage users using the software, and also the accounting and the cost management have to be conducted. So, which means even if you're outsourcing your whole IT infrastructure, the responsibility for user management is still on your shoulders. So now is the question how to get all the benefits, but less responsibility to manage user verification and payments, and also provider management of software. So there is a third option to go for, maybe an approach which is hiding the complexity of cloud computing. And I can say, yes, there is. It's digital marketplaces. So digital marketplaces, there are a lot of digital marketplaces nowadays available, but some of those are only fancy yellow pages, which means they don't really provide the capability of running an app. They only provide a short article on the app and maybe some reviews by some users. And of course, there are also apps, marketplaces with real capabilities, but there we are also going back to the vendor login, which refers to AWS, Google Cloud, and similar big American cloud providers. And still, even you pay them a lot of money and have developers external who are working for you, the responsibility for user management and security is still remaining on your shoulder. So it's no secret that the global market is dominated by American offers. And this is also something the European Commission recognized. This is also one of the reasons I4MS is now available for over 6 years. And also the projects are funded. And the European Commission funded a huge number of projects with always a consortium of companies. And by doing so, they wanted to support European companies to create European counteroffers in order to narrow the cloud computing skills gap. So one of those examples is the Mgora workspace. It's a B2B environment where any user, where provider have an easy way to offer software tools, and running those apps of high technology and innovations for product manufacturing engineering appears for the user as a simple task. So it means by a simple click, a user can license an app and just run it if they need it. And this is the outcome by more than 3 projects. So Cloud SME project, Cloud Factoring project, DigitBrain project, which will be also contributing to the technology developed in the 3 projects before. And okay, 3 projects sounds not a lot, but it is a lot of companies because it's more than 100 experiments which helped us to guide this, to develop this technology. So Mgora Workspace is a bit more than a marketplace. That's why it's called Workspace, because our goal is to hide the complexity of cloud computing and having a framework where every company can benefit from cloud computing technologies and delivered software. So means companies are enabled to create new experience with innovative tools without being exposed to sales pressure by some sales agents of the software provider. And further, it creates a space for contact between providers and users and experts in order to create new things together. And why are marketplaces so important? Marketplaces simplify and standardize the access to high performance tools, not for one side, but for both sides. So it's also preserving the power, and provider have a new sales and marketing channel and interaction channel, and users have a new marketplace where they not only can consume software, but also trainings and consultancies. But why do companies need a standardized and simplified way to access cloud computing and applications running on it? Because companies still have a lot of barriers to overcome. So IT system and security is always an important topic. The speed and complexity of technology developments is enormous. And also to find the right people with the right skills, as Marta already showed us, is very hard in the cloud architecture area. So this is refers to a poor workforce knowledge in companies, and also the lack of financial resources and human resources are not making it easier to go into the cloud direction and starting the digitization journey. So coming a little bit to the end, the benefits of a digital marketplace, which was created in such a research and innovation context funded by the European Commission, is that we aimed to outsource the task and interactions of providers and users. Means our workspace is providing a transaction and interaction focus area in addition, which means that software providers can provide ready-to-use apps, but they, as well as consultants, institutes, and universities and DRHs, can also offer online training and consultancy services to users in order to get the most out of a solution and to understand the real benefit. Further, we support our network with discussion forums, blogs, and matches in order that companies can find the right solution or the right partner, or to put it in another way, the right set of skills which is required for the digitization in the specific company. The environment, it is a transparent environment where providers can meet and on one eye level. So think about eBay and LinkedIn. So it's a combination. It's a eBay-like marketplace for manufacturing and technology, but also the social exchange of LinkedIn is combined together. And so creating network effects, and so digital marketplaces can help to close the skills gap between businesses and cloud computing by hiding its complexity and multiplying the benefits of users and providers. Before, I have mentioned DigitBrain. So in DigitBrain, we are right now working on the reusability of models and algorithms, because digital twins are always separated in are created with data models and algorithms, and we try to make it more reusable. And also for the end user, we want to make a seamless execution without the complexity of a real digital twin. So they should just experience the benefit with the support of Digital Innovation Hub. So I highly recommend to you after this webinar to have a look at digitbrain.eu. There you will find a lot of more interesting information, and also more than 14 experiments that we already supported there. And now, to put it in a nutshell, what I just have presented to you to conclude is cloud computing is, and the three models of it are quite complex topics that can be addressed from a lot of different perspectives. But digital platforms like multi-cloud marketplaces support provider and user to enjoy cloud computing benefits, high performance software on demand, and support trust building among companies without putting the real complexity of cloud computing technologies in the foreground. So, and with this, I would like to say thank you, and let's stay in touch for discussions about cloud computing and how to get there. Connect with me on LinkedIn or just drop me a line via mail. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Lisa. Can you please stop share? Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. At this moment, I request and invite anybody who has any questions. No, we don't see any questions on the chat. Your presentation was very intense and lots of information. The presentation itself was not verbose, but yes, you gave a lot of information. Very nice, and we will be sharing the recording, so of course people will be able to recap. Enrique, do you have?
Yeah, I have a question here. It was a very interesting presentation, and while you are talking about, well, while Lisa was talking about these marketplaces, it reminds me a little bit of the work that this initiative, which is called Gaia-X, is doing nowadays in Europe. And I just wanted to know if there is some kind of alignment between the initiatives that they are working in the project and the Gaia-X.
So in DigitBrain, we are aiming to target this alignment. So in Cloud Factoring project, where Mgora Workspace was born, we already discussed this, but we are aiming to be in a line in like 1 or 2 years with the development of the DigitBrain project, since there also the fireware component will be introduced to our system.
Okay, so at the end, probably everything will converge, isn't it?
That's the goal.
Okay, thank you.
I'm on mute. Thank you so much, Enrique. If no more questions, then we move ahead to the final presentation from Paula.
So can you see my screen?
Yes, but it is not in the full screen mode.
In that way. Now?
Yes, perfect. Thank you.
So thank you all for attending the webinar. I'm Paula Cervera, and I also work for Mobile World Capital Barcelona. And what I want to present is our experience in Better Factory project, in which Mobile World Capital is leading this skills observatory task, in which we are trying to provide this training regarding for the implementation of the technologies that are being developed in the project. So just a brief introduction of the project. Better Factory is a 48-month project which belongs to I4MS initiative. And our objective in the project is to help European manufacturing SMEs to develop new and personalized products, and also to become cyber-physical systems and lean agile production facilities. So in the project, we are developing, the technical partners are developing a set of software modules that are included also in a marketplace, a digital marketplace, which is RAMP platform. And our objective is to select 16 pilot projects that will test these technologies in the shop floors. These pilot projects consist of an SME, an artist, and technology, because we are also trying to boost this kind of collaboration and to bring new and fresh ideas to solve the challenges of the manufacturing SMEs in terms of products and also in terms of production processes. So over these key technology experiments, or these pilots, what we are offering as technology and business advice, also funding, but also access to training with these skills development tasks that we are leading. Basically, we are creating a kind of training catalog as the one of I4MS that will be also included in I4MS and will be also included in the future in RAM platform together with the software modules. So what I wanted to show you is how are we managing these skills development tasks. The way in which we are working is, first of all, the first step for us is to identify the skills requirements for the KTES. Then, once we understand the skills requirements and needs, what we try to do is to co-define the training programs. That means taking into consideration the skills need that we have concluded from the previous step, we are defining the training programs that best fit these SMEs that we are trying to help. And finally, what we do is to set up the contents and webinars in the Better Factory website, where we have our training catalog, but also will be included, as I said before, in RAM platform in the future. So how are we identifying these skills needs for the KTEs? First, we try to understand and map the trainings and documentation that was already available by our partners, but we focus this task on a research on skills requirements by the SMEs. First of all, we launched a questionnaire, a kind of survey, in which we were asking the different SMEs of the pilot projects about their skills needs. And then, based on the answers, we prepared a focus group session. It was a kind of interactive session in which we asked them about the specific questions that we are still lacking the answers. For example, we were asking which were the skills needs that they need for the implementation of their projects. That means they were having some steps for implementing the technologies in the shop floors. So which were the main challenges, and to reach these challenges and to perform this step, which are their needs in terms of trainings. Apart of that, we also tried to understand which was their level of information and data awareness. This was so important because we needed to understand in which way they were gathering, storing, and also using their data, and also what was their level of understanding and knowledge of cybersecurity. And finally, in order to prepare the trainings in a format that really fits their needs, we wanted to know about their training and experience, understanding their levels of education, the level of experience, and also if they were participating in any training program, and the skills requirement based on these education and experience levels. So this was a picture of the session. We tried to work, it was interactive, so we were asking the questions, they were completing this in a mural board. And based on that, we got some conclusions, and based on these conclusions, we defined our action plan. We identified some KTES training needs, and we defined the actions, the responsible partners, some tools, and we also put some deadlines. Based on that, we start working on defining the training programs, as I said before. Not only containing manuals, because manuals are sometimes quite confusing for these SMEs which are not used to work with this kind of technology. So they asked us to start working more on hands-on tutorial on how to deploy these technologies. And first, start presenting about the potential of the technologies, for example, these cloud technologies, or the potential of having all this data in a digital format for their companies. So based on that, we start setting up the contents in our catalog, which is available in the project website by now. We also define a new structure for the contents, which was more intuitive and more user-friendly, because sometimes these companies are not used to use this kind of training catalogs either. So it was important to make it easy for them to understand how it is structured. In Better Factory, we would have a very wide set of software modules, which are divided depending on their objective in different packages that we call them. So we tried to structure this website in a way that was more user-friendly. And as I said before, for us, the most important conclusion and the most important change in the catalog so far was that not only we understood about their needs, but also about how they wanted us to prepare these trainings. Not only having manuals, written manuals, but also to show them in these videos the potential of applicability and how this kind of these technologies like cloud computing could help to their business. So this was what I wanted to show you today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Paula. Thank you for the presentation. And I request now invite everybody if there are questions. I don't see questions in the chat. So if there are questions, Enrique, would you like to?
Yes, again, is there any other
sorry,
one?
Paula, if you would like to, stop the sharing, screen share.
I thought no. Okay.
Yeah,
no, it's better. Well, sorry for that, but I was just while we within the project within the CSA that Rita was mentioning before, we are exploring also how to close the gap regarding learning, especially in cloud computing skills. And one of the things that, or the important factors that it depends on the size of the company. So most of the different alternatives that we have seen they are pretty much oriented for large company, and I've seen that you are working more on SMEs, and which is very good from our side, because sometimes we think that the SMEs are always forgotten. The thing is that when we talk about people from SMEs, they have the main concerns is the first one, they have a limited budget for training. And the second one is that they sometimes they do not have time to train their own people. So solutions for them is that they say, okay, I need to, sometimes they hire people, they hire experts with the knowledge, because or they collaborate with other SMEs just to get the expertise that they don't have. So my question here is like, what have you seen while talking with the SMEs? Is this the situation? I mean, are they just looking for solutions for in-house training, or do you feel that still the problem is that they lack this lack of expertise, and they don't know how to get this expertise fast enough to meet the challenges of their own business? I just wanted to know what is the feedback that you got so far, Paula.
Yeah, in that case, in Better Factory, the good part was that in these pilot projects, they were not alone. I mean, they are working together with a technology provider. So in some way, it happened in the most of the KTES that they need this high support, strong support from the technology providers, because they were not in the appropriate digitalization level. That means some of them were still working with paper to gather their data. So the good part of Better Factory is that a part of this collaboration and the support that they are receiving from the technology provider, they are also receiving support from us. It's external support, but they are understanding the real need of start digitalizing this in order to implement these technologies if they want to improve their business in some way. So I think that as a consortium, we are doing a great job, I think, supporting with this technical mentorship and also business mentorship to these companies, because in that way we make them understand about the potential for their business of these technologies and also how to use them. So I think that in our case, we are solving this in that way because of the support we are giving as mentors and because of the collaboration with the technical providers.
And these SMEs, they pay for the services, or is just included in the collaboration?
It's included. In the pilots, they receive funding, they receive mentorship, and they receive trainings among other benefits.
Okay, and well, I guess that this initiative will, I don't know, at some time it will be over, or will how do you think this could be maintained after the life of the project, so that the SMEs can still have those benefits? And
of course, yeah, as I was saying before, the idea is all this training catalog that we are preparing will be available in the training catalog in the website, but also in I4MS training catalog, we will include them. And also we will include all the contents that we are preparing in the RAM platform. That is the digital marketplace where also the software modules will be available for this kind of companies. So yeah, RAM is like the business after the project, and where these SMEs will find all the technologies and also the materials and training materials they need to implement them.
Okay, and just a final question. Are you planning just to give certificates to the people that they just complete the training? Like, these MOCs or these kind of things?
Yeah, not so far, because what we are doing is like more asynchronous learning, and they go to the website, they find the specific module they are interested in, and they see the video, the tutorial, or they find the documentation written. So not so far, but maybe in the future we can think about that, because this is something that is happening now in some of the projects, and maybe it could be like a way of encouraging these companies to participate and try to understand how to introduce this kind of technologies and innovation in the shop floors. Yeah.
Yeah, and even for the employees, I mean, they can have some kind of certificates they can use later if they want to change for different job or whatever.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you too.
Thank you, Enrique. Thank you, Paula. And once again, if there are any questions, I encourage you to write in the chat or raise your hand and we open the mic for you. If not, then we are quite well in time, and I thank a lot to our speakers, Marta, Lisa, and Paula, for their time. Thank you, Enrique, also. I think it's, for most of you, it's a holiday time, for taking the time out and joining us. And we will shortly, make available the presentations and the recording of the sessions via our channels. And I think it will be also shared via the channels from the speaker's side. So that's all from my side. Thank you so much, and wishing you all a very nice summer. Stay cool. Thank you so much. Enrique, anything else? Yes, please. You are on mute, Enrique. We don't hear you.
Now?
Yes. Before we finish, I apologize for just giving thanks to all the speakers. I still have one question for the first speaker, Marta. When she was talking about the gender gap, especially for the cloud computing, when they say this, because depending to other technologies in cloud computing, the number of females, it was around, I think, 18% or something. That still was quite low, and it was not only in Barcelona, Madrid, but it's also in London, Amsterdam, all the cities. So my question here is, if they know, or they can share with us why they think that this kind of technology is not so popular among the females. And if the second question would be if they know something, or if there could be something that can be done to try to engage more females into the cloud computing.
So I'm sharing the screen. So at the end, I just showed the first ones, but they do an analysis of all the popular technologies in the IT sector, being cloud one of them. I don't have the answer to your questions, but I know that we are working on this. There are different initiatives empowering STEM and women in tech, at least here run by the City Hall in Barcelona, but it's not the case in other cities. So there's still a lot of work that needs to be done. This data is mainly quantitative, so we don't have qualitative data, so we didn't do any interviews with them. But we see that the numbers are increasing though. From, if you compare the data from other years, which is available, we can see. The only thing is that for example, I have a clear. I know why UX UI is mainly well, it has a parity right now, 50-50, because at the end it's very related to communication studies. And for example, I'm a specialist in communication. I'm a teacher there, so our students are mainly females, no? And I think the action to be done is, I think, two. One, to start creating awareness in early education, not university education, but earlier, and to have representativeness of women in events. For example, today, we actually are 3 females talking about manufacturing and IT skills, which is quite rare. So, so I think at the end, it's important to have, so that in early education, there's some early representativeness of women. So this is something that we, for example, in requiremenet try all the time to when we are, I don't know, doing a banner to have women using a 3D printer, for example. So we try it on our side, but it's hard, no?
Yeah, it's something. It was also that it was just commented in one of the sessions that we had previously in the project, because they were talking about the gender gap, and they say, okay, yes, we know the people of the number of females in IT is increasing, but not in all the different flavors. Okay, like, and it's a little bit what you are sharing today. It's more like related to communications. Everything which is more related to communication, it's rising. But others that are probably not more individual, I don't know how to say, or more. It's like this cloud computer. It doesn't seem to engage the females, and I think there is not any reason or real reason behind. And myself, I don't have an explanation. I don't know if someone will have it, but but this is strange. I mean, Alice is a bit surprised. Yeah, but I mean, we will try just to say that, as you have mentioned, that maybe by raising awareness, by increasing education in early stages, this situation might change in the future.
I have, for example, in Better Factory, we have an action that is integrating high school students within the project in a couple of dissemination activities. So I think such type of initiatives in proposals are and EU projects are a must, because at the end, it helps out create this type of actions, and maybe this can be our recommendation.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thanks, Marta. Well, that's all from my side, Rita.
Thank you, Enrique. No, it was good. You stopped us in between. I would say it was a valid point in discussion also. So that's all. Thank you so much, and we hope to stay in touch. Thank you, and I will close the meeting shortly. Thank you, all the speakers and participants. Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Thanks
bye.
for inviting us.
Thank you.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.